lighting is terrible. I can't get enough on my face. I need a ring light, I guess, because, you know, YouTuber. As the regular season winds down to an end, ramping up for the playoffs, and I'm recording this in the intermission between the Calgary and Vegas game because life. And so let's go through the last several games as we head up into the playoffs. And I might be attaching the Vancouver game, which is happening tomorrow as of me recording this, into the end of this. We'll just see. And then playoff previews and, you know, bracket time. This game against Colorado Avalanche, again, another contending team, you know, which we don't have faced very many in this last stretch. It was Winnipeg and Edmonton, which we both lost 4-0, and then, you know, 4-2. 3 against Edmonton, and then against Colorado, the only other like contending team that we're playing in this stretch, we lose 3-2 in the shootout, which is funny because we played the first game in this season against the Colorado Avalanche, scored 8 on them. It was 8-4 victory for Vegas. Then we faced them again later in the season, and we lose, I think it was in the shootout again, or overtime, and then here we lose in the shootout against Colorado Avalanche, which, you know, they had McKinnon. We don't have our best player in Eichel. Exactly, Clara, that makes me sad too. Say hi! The good news from this is, even though it's another loss to a contending team, losing the shootout, a glorified skills competition, you know, doesn't really impact the way that we'll play against them in the playoffs. The big telling game would be the one against the Jets, because the Edmonton, give or take, flip-flop back and forth between who could win that one, but against Colorado, both of the times we lost against them this season were in areas that won't happen in the playoffs against them. So, you know, a lot can happen. We rested a ton of guys against Calgary tonight. And in general, like, we'll just see what happens, because that matchup wouldn't even happen until the Western Conference Final. So a lot can happen between then and now. Actually, in fact, it would be Colorado, Winnipeg, or Dallas that we'd face in the Western Conference Final. Well, I mean, also St. Louis, I guess now. Spoiler alert. But those are the 4 teams that we could face in the Western Conference Final if we were to get there. I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, despite some light chirping that may happen in the meantime. Sorry, Minnesota. But yeah, specifics in this game, I guess we can go through it if you want. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know, your dad's full of it. Akira Schmid's game, Schmid, and he played phenomenally, especially in the second period. The only reason that we were in it, even though we had a 2-goal lead. William Karlsson shorthanded from Riley Smith, the power kill returned, and it was glorious. I swear William Karlsson's point production went up because he's on a line with Riley Smith again, and you'll love to see that. Speaking of original misfits, Braden McNabb with the curl and drag score. I don't know if it was actually a curl and drag, it could have just been a shot. But he makes it 2-0, and then that's within the first minute of the second period, but then we get pummeled by the Avs, and the only reason that it was tied 2-2 and we got to overtime and the shootout was because Akira Schmid literally dragged us there. Phenomenal performance from them. Goalie controversy? But he couldn't hold it up in the shootout because he got no goal support. Yep, Dorofiev, Olofsson, and Theodore could not score. Granted, Brock Nelson and Nathan McKinnon also didn't score against him. It was Charlie Coyle. Is what it is. I'm not going to hold too much weight into this game because of how hurt we are. We're without Eichel, we're without Petro, they were sick. Like, Haig was also out. And also, like, I know they are seriously injured too. Like every good team is right now. It's actually kind of scary. Parity-wise, anyone can win going into the playoffs. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's put this game behind us. That's it for game 78. So we'll move on to game 79 against the Seattle Kraken, which was a really good game from Vegas. Again, despite the fact that we're injured, and, you know, we locked up the division. No, we didn't. When did we lock up the division? I think it was this game. Yeah, we win the Pacific Division. Honestly, days blend together. Hours don't make sense anymore. My sleep schedule's completely off. I'm sleeping from like 4 to 10 p.m. I don't know, a.m. But what I can keep track of is the Golden Knights keep winning with the best record since March 18th, as well as like the second best in the NHL since the Four Nations face-off. Phenomenal. You know, really, really good stuff. And we win against the Kraken 2-1. Aiden Hill in net, he had a fantastic performance as well. Ivan Barbashev and William Karlsson score. William Karlsson from Riley Smith, so continuing that trend of his goal productions increasing. This is assisted as well by Braden McNabb. So misfit goal right there, fantastic stuff. And then Seattle gets one with Jared McCann towards the end of the second period, because of course they do. And I'm gonna be honest, I watched this game in its entirety, but I don't remember what happened in it. Oh, that's right. One of the goals from the Colorado game, I'm so sorry, Seattle, was given to them because Akira Schmidt's glove went into the goal. And I know it was a goal. I believe it was a goal. You could not see video proof of it fully crossing the line because, again, the NHL refuses to do goal line technology, despite the fact that we're completely capable of being able to implement that technology-wise as well as money-wise. But that's not the point. Oh, look at that, we're playing again. I'll wrap up this game first. Then there was a puck that Vegas shot, and you couldn't see the puck. And I made a joke of, oh, well, we didn't see it go in, but we should still get a goal awarded, right? Because we clinched home ice in the first round against Colorado. That was just a terrible game. And then for Seattle, McNabb has a toe drag that is completely unexpected, despite the fact that that's literally his only move that he keeps doing. Did Calgary score? Oh, frickin'. Oh, now you sleep. You sleep because I'm holding you. Yeah, no, that's how it's been going. But she sleeps, so it's good. We just have to hold her, which, fun. It's my last one. I'm going to take advantage of this as much as possible. Now of course it was Kadri. Anyway, game against Seattle, we won 2-1. It was a close battle, again, against a team that's supposed to be not competing, but that loves playing against us because they're like our little bro. And I'm not trying to be condescending with that. It's just the fact that we've had so much more. There's not a way for me to say this without sounding condescending, but Seattle has been in our shadow since their inception, and they are a really deep team because Seattle Kraken lives in the deep. Anyway, their fan base is extremely loyal and loves the team, and that's admirable. And the on-ice product hasn't been able to back up the loyalty that they've seen from fans in the last 5 years. Other than their one playoff run where they knocked off the defending Stanley Cup champions, which was fantastic, and I was hoping that maybe we could see each other in the Western Conference Final. Didn't end up happening, but yeah, no, Kraken, season's done, and we'll see you next year, yeah. Did they score again? Okay, I gotta get through this. I was going to change jerseys for every game because these games were at home, but I'm not going to do that anymore. Now, which this seems like a long time coming because it's been a long year, Marchessault's return to the Fortress in the final home game of the regular season, which is just funny to me. And part of me wonders, I know players play for different teams all the time, they get used to the systems, they have a full training camp and all that jazz, but if they were to play game one, or even a preseason game one, and they're not completely used to their jerseys, and in the opposing barn that they used to play for, do they, split second, first period, instinctual response to give it to your teammates, ex-teammates, I wonder if that would happen. Obviously, just not specific to Vegas, just in general. And fittingly enough, Marchessault would score in this game. But Vegas wins. I have the victory flamingo. I'm moving this week too. So it's a lot. Having a newborn, having to buy a vehicle, expensive purchase, and moving in the same month, highly advise not doing that. But this isn't a life advice channel. This is a hockey channel. So let's get back to the hockey. Because Nashville scored first. Osterley scored in the beginning of the first period. First half. So I'm not wrong, but it wasn't the beginning. And that was their first shot on goal. So despite out shooting them 9-1 and dominating that first period, they were winning 1-0, and there were more shots than that. But at that point when they scored, it was 9-1, and then they were winning 1-0 going into the second period, which is where Vegas pops off. Brett Howden, Nick Waugh, and Alex Holtz on the power play. Interesting, cool. That's fantastic. Good for him, and that was great. Right? Vegas up 3-1. And we're facing a team who, again, not really competing for anything because, other than the player that they brought with them to his old barn, they're competing for him. And a lot can be said for competing for your teammates. I'm not trying to downplay that, but that's why you're competing at the beginning of April. Granted, Vegas isn't competing at all because they clinched the division. Vegas are the Pacific Division champions for the 4th time in their 7 years that they could have been doing it, 8th year of their existence. And fun fact, I had to look this up, the Edmonton Oilers in the McDavid era haven't won their division, nor have the Oilers won their division since 1986-87 season. Fun facts. Marchessault scores in the 3rd, and then Del Gaizo ties the game. And it's like, seriously, guys, could you not? Thanks. Noah Hanifin with less than 2 minutes left. Thank you, my dude. I got a jersey. I got your jersey, and you'll see that in the next game. Fantastic stuff with less than 2 minutes. He just rifled it on, and it went in. Really, really good stuff from him against Justus Anunin. Man, names are tough. And then, if there was any doubt, Ivan Barbashev with the empty netter with 2 seconds left in the game. So we win 5-3 against the Nashville Predators. Fantastic stuff. And, you know, hate to spoil the party for Marchessault, but like he seemed to enjoy his time, and the way that he talked about the team in these interviews was a lot more high praise than how the season started, which could be a mix of different things. Like, emotions have definitely settled down. I definitely think that he missed it here. It looked like he teared up during the tribute video, and we missed seeing him there. Like, the crowd chanted Marshy. You know, Conathan, Marcia Smythe, it was good to see you. See you again next year. There's no malice behind any of my chirps. Like, it's all in good humor. I can take it as well, is what it is. As long as it's an actual chirp and not just like degrading character, you know, accusation. That's just not a chirp. Like, I hold no ill will against anyone. Like, it's just, it's hockey. It's a game. Come on. But yeah, Noah Hanifin, your jersey came in. Which, you know, I love the Calgary Flames look. This is, yeah, brand new jersey that just came in finally. And it's great. It looks fantastic. And Vegas, again, game 81 against the Calgary Flames, currently tied 3-3, and I'm just going to go over that real quick. 14 minutes left to go in the 3rd. It was 3-1 after the 1st period and after the 2nd period. But, you know, Vegas not playing a lot of their players. Hill is out. Samsonov's in. I like Sammy as a person. I think he's funny in some of the things that he has posted on social media and stuff. But just, I know a single road trip does not define how well a player plays over somebody else. But my dude, it's rough. .892 save percentage coming into this game, and it looks like some rough stuff now. But did they give that goal to Saad? No, they gave it to Dorofeev. It was announced as Saad's goal because it looked like he could have tipped it in, but Dorofeev just rifles it on and then goes off of a stick, I think Calgary's, and past Dustin Wolf, who, phenomenal job. Dude, if the Calgary Flames made the playoffs, which I don't know if we should be basing, you know, awards off of that criteria, but he is the reason the Calgary Flames were even in the hunt and why I was so wrong about them in my season predictions for where they will end up being in the standings. But really good effort from him all season long, and he just got boned by a really weird goal from Dorofeev, his 34th team leading of the season. Fantastic stuff from him. But again, like, Vegas is sitting a lot of their players, including Eichel, Petro, Stone, Hill, like the Four Nations guys, basically. Hanifin too, I think. Morgan Frost scores on the power play. It was early in the power play, first like 5 seconds to get Calgary tied 1-1. But then Vegas goes to work and they capitalize on their chances. And Nick Waugh from Barbashev and Kolazar, and then Tomas Hertl for his 32nd of the year. Just, you know, bang crash play, and they scored. It was great. And that is how it would be. I watched mostly the Minnesota game in the 2nd period because it was determining who we're going to play in the 1st round, as I already spoiled earlier in the video. But it was, they were down 2-1, and then Paul Gustafsson, and then scored with like 30 seconds left. Joel, Eriksson Ek, and then they went to overtime, and all they needed was the 1 point, and then they clinched their playoffs and series with us because they held the regulation tiebreaker over St. Louis. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit relieved. Minnesota is very injury riddled all season, And Kaprizov could definitely pop off and steal a series. Same with Gustafsson. He's like, Kaprizov has that game-breaking talent. And Gustafsson is a phenomenal goalie, and they have Fleury, who is an emotional, especially against Vegas. Oh man, that team is going to be super motivated for him, like I talked to about earlier, about like playing for your teammates. They put Fleury in for overtime, and I should put Minnesota jersey up. And the next one, Fleury killed a penalty, fantastic stuff, 2-pad stack, breakaway, poke check, dive, like really, really good overtime from Fleury, including a penalty kill that he completely killed, and had to thank his posts at one point, and then they win with like 30 seconds left to go in overtime. That caps him off at 575, and it's gonna be so weird because Fleury will be in Vegas for the first round, probably on the bench for most of the series, if not all of it, unless Gus gets injured or just does not play well. But that's the first round matchup. It's like the first year that I had my channel. 2021 playoffs all over again, except a little bit older, a little bit stronger, a little bit different, and they have Fleury this time. It's gonna be great it's gonna be great when Vegas beats Flower to end his career. And I feel weird saying that because he's still my favorite player in the league, and I love that dude, but his final game might be played in T-Mobile Arena. Again, not trying to count my chickens before they hatch. Not trying to count my Hickens before they catch, but it should be a good series that Vegas is probably going to be heavily favored in. And to be honest, like, they win, they face us. A consolation prize. They lose, they face Winnipeg. But the thing is with the way that the teams are this season, I can see a legitimate argument for any team winning in the first round against any team. The one that I believe in the least would probably be New Jersey, simply because they don't have their heart and soul in Jack Hughes and are also just injury riddled with like Dougie Hamilton and all that jazz. But like, anything can happen in this season's playoffs. Anyway, let's finish this third period for Calgary, and I'll be back to talk about that, and then I might be just adding Vancouver's onto this. We'll see, but I just realized I had these in the wrong order. I've been doing home on the left and away on the right, in case you haven't noticed all season. Me using an away Flames jersey, I got mixed up. That's not centered out. Anyway, Vegas loses 5-4 in the shootout after we were leading 3-1 going into the third, because congrats, hats off to Calgary. They were not told that they were eliminated already and played really, really well. Kind of. The 3 goals allowed, we were losing 4-3. Not good goals to allow from Samsonov. And like, you're allowed to have an off game, but like, his save percentage coming into this game was .892. Like, man, I know Schmid has played literally 4 periods for us in the regular season as a Golden Knight, and Sammy has a lot more experience, and in the playoffs he was one of the reasons that Toronto won that series against Tampa Bay 4 years ago. But man, I don't know. I don't know. We do score 1 to get back into it. It's Saad, Brendan Saad. I've always known him as like a playoff player, and he was a really good pickup by this Vegas front office. And we're facing Minnesota. We could have been facing the Blues, which would have been funny in that regard. Not anywhere close to Rantanen versus the Avs and the other half of the Western Conference bracket, but still, that would have been really, really funny. But no, I'm excited for what he's going to do with Vegas in the playoffs. I specifically remember, again, second round, that first year that I was playing, making videos, and he scored a goal with seconds left to go in one of the periods against Fleury. And it was not a good one. He whiffed on it, and Fleury was ready to get the actual shot, and the whiff went through him, and that was not good. But at the same time, there was like a fight going on behind. It was a whole anyway, not this game. Congrats, Calgary, on winning this game. That meant nothing. Vegas getting a point because we went to the overtime. We clinch second seed in the West. which is great because I think even with us getting the second seed, we would probably be facing the Minnesota Wild still. Instead of Dallas versus Colorado, it'd be Dallas versus Edmonton and then LA versus Colorado. And I think 1v8 is probably better overall, looking at specifically at Edmonton and LA, even though this year is going to be different with LA having home ice advantage and also Edmonton not having the best defenseman. Anyway, the point being, like, I feel better about our chances now knowing that we have we have home ice advantage against everyone except for Winnipeg in the Western Conference. And in the league, we are third, and Toronto could technically tie us, but we have the tiebreaker with regulation wins. And that's another thing, regulation wins, which is how the playoff games are won. Vegas has the most in the league at 45. The next closest team is Winnipeg, Washington. They have 43. LA has 42. Carolina has 42. Everything else after that, not what you're going to be facing in the playoffs. And yes, intensity ramps up. And Vegas at the #1 power play clip, despite the fact that they get the least amount of opportunities, you know, like, and struggling in the last several games, going 1-12. But it's going to be really interesting. And like tomorrow's game against Vancouver does not matter one bit. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, right? Game 82 not mattering at all. Last time that happened was, I think, when we missed the playoffs against St. Louis. And we won 7-4, I think. It's crazy. Anyway, congrats Calgary. Dustin Wolf is super. That overtime was so fun. It was hectic and insane, and Dustin Wolf is the entire reason that Calgary won that game. He robbed Golden Knights like 4 times in overtime alone. It was really, really good. Sammy did make a couple of good stops in overtime, but it was a rushed chance that he took the shot early because Shea Theodore with a fantastic back check, and Dustin Wolf. And as soon as it was going to the shootout, Dustin Wolf versus Samsonov, I'm not trying to be mean either. I just don't like the Samsonov's play. I do not think that he is good enough for even the backup. Like, if Hill gets injured, I am terrified. Vegas would be not great after that. And Hill has gotten injured quite a bit. So, like, in his career in the last several years. So let's just, you know, Hill will be healthy all playoffs. Yeah, what a fun, hectic end to the NHL season so far. And I think everything's locked up. There's technically a chance for Columbus to surpass Montreal still in the East. That's the last game. It's if Columbus wins in regulation and Montreal loses in regulation. The Habs play tomorrow against the Canes, and that game doesn't matter for the Canes, so we'll see. Should be good. I'm expecting the Habs to win. But if not and Columbus wins, cool. Really, really good story, actually. Anyways, I'm probably going to tag in Vancouver's video at the end of this. And the last game of the regular season against the Vancouver Canucks. Game 82 and Game 81. Game 82 won 4-1 by the Vegas Golden Knights in a game that I could not have cared less about as long as we had no injuries. And then the last goal happened, which was an empty net goal. But that made this whole game, okay, great. Just finishing with the cherry on top of this fantastic season with 50 wins. And the only other times in our franchise's history that we've hit 50 wins, we went to the Stanley Cup final and won the Stanley Cup. So, you know, good vibes from that. But no, it was the first career NHL goal for Cole Schwindt in Game 82. Finally, this dude, I'm really happy for him. And just, like, he's been a solid depth piece, but hasn't been able to get on the score sheet yet, and finally did. And so, fantastic stuff from him. Pius Suter scored for the Canucks first, 1-0, and then goals from Victor Olofsson, Vegas Vic, Pavel Dorofeev in the third period, which gave us the lead. It was the game-winning goal. Who scored third? Jack Eichel. It was a double deflection and it went in. Jack Eichel. I was hoping he would get 7 points tonight so that he could hit 100, but that was not the case. And he played today. Which, yeah, getting like the rust off before game 1 of the playoff series, sure, 100%. But like, against Vancouver, who didn't have much to play for, as well, like Calgary did though last game. So maybe that's something there, but. And then Cole Schwint with the empty netter to make it 4-1. And just a terrible ending for the Canucks season. And my sympathies go out to them because I have no idea what they're going to be doing, because Pettersson, that contract, holy moly, and then Besser, who gets injured frequently. Are you going to re-sign him? And then Demko gets injured regularly. Like, the uncertainty in Canucks fandom has got to be ridiculous, despite the fact that you have arguably the best defenseman in the league in Quinn Hughes. And there were a couple of times where I'm like, dude, how is he like continuing to play? He should be gassed. He's already been out there for 2 minutes, and yet he's like one of the fastest guys out on the ice. He is a magician with his skating with the puck, and his talents are being wasted. But Vancouver, we'll see you next year. Fun fact, I projected you to be our playoff opponent in the first round this year, so and before the season started. Disappointing me too in that regard, because I like to be right, okay? Not much. I use this game as like background noise while I was working on my computer, so you know, that's all I can say really. Like, I was like, oh hey, Doro scored, and then yeah, no, it quickly got out of hand for Vancouver, despite the fact that they were tied 1-1 going into the third period. I don't have much else to say. What a fantastic regular season. Brayden McNabb has finished with a plus of 42, which is his 12th straight season having a plus rating. And the only other two players in that timeline to be able to do that were Victor Hedman and Brad Marchand, I think. Maybe there was a third, I don't remember. We also are the least penalized team in NHL history in an 82-game season with 197. We're the first team to go below 200 in like NHL. That's fantastic. We set a franchise record in goals scored this season with 274. That's the most number of goals in a single season from the Vegas Golden Knights in their franchise's existence. 6 more than the previous high of 268, which we reached in the inaugural season. Pavel Orofiev ended with 35 goals. He's the third highest. That's the third highest in VGK history. The Carlson, Marchessault, the year we won the cup. Carlson, the inaugural season. And now Dorofiev, you know, great company for him. There was one last thing about this game before, you know, I wrap up. There was one play in the beginning of the period, and it was Akira Schmid. Schmid, not Schmid. So 2 things, I guess, but there was that Akira Schmid, fantastic win. I really would feel more comfortable with him as the backup to Aiden Hill. And then the other thing was there was this play in the first period where it was deflected. Like a beautiful, like it was batted actually by Brett Howden, and it hit the bar and did not go in. Would have been goal of the year. I know Ovi scored 895, whatever. No, that goal of the year. Anyways, that's gonna be it for game 78 through 82's nightly review. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go to the playoffs. Let's face the Wild. Let's win. Go fight, win. Go Knights, go. Have a good night.